Alright, man, so a lot of times, fellas get around, they normally have a little cipher, people freestyling and stuff, but, oftentimes, too, we have dope conversations. And like I said, too, earlier, we was talking about earlier that, there's no need for a few people to have good jewels and good conversation for just remain and just stay in that room, right? So,
Indeed.
So I figure, we can keep talking and stuff, man. So I guess to go back to we was talking about owning your own businesses and stuff. If you working for somebody, you pretty much a slave, right? So why do y'all think that there aren't more people, like us, that have their own businesses and stuff? Do you think my theory was, I think school kind of taught us and conditioned us to be a worker. Your 9 to 5, like when you go to school, like when we went to school and stuff, that taught us to be working on the 9 to 5 schedule.
Go to school, get an education, get a good job, raise a family.
Yeah,
that's what you was told. That's what you told. That's all it is. And just like Cam said, I can't fucking pay back my student loans, making $35,000 a year, and go to Miami 9 times a year, down type shit.
Right. So that's my thing, man. I think when you talk about education, man, that's like one of the biggest pimp and hustle games in America.
I learned the hard way. When I had to get 2 loans, you know what I'm saying? I ended up being fortunate enough to handle the debt, but getting kicked out of one school and enrolling in another one, I ended up owing the government over $40,000. You know what I'm saying? And only got an associate's degree. Didn't even get no bachelor's or no master's or nothing like that. But, I made my money later. But coming straight out of getting a degree, going straight to work, only making 30. You got student loans, you got a vehicle, you got day-to-day need, rent. What are you to do?
Yo, so do you think people have these conversations, or why you don't think more people talk about this? Or not necessarily that a lot of people don't talk about it. Why do you think this is not something that's mainstream? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think?
I mean, like you said earlier, that's what we trained and conditioned to be. You know what I'm saying? It's the norm of the society. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Even your grandmothers and such that felt like they couldn't get an education if they didn't graduate, they would feel like that would give you more an opportunity as a younger generation to succeed. It'll give you more stuff on your paperwork, but that doesn't guarantee anything. It look good on paper, but when in actuality, when you get in front of the person, it's a different story, man. When your face don't match up with your name.
It's also us just believing that somebody else can teach us better than we can teach ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We not listening to the own voices in our community. The community is not getting in front of the children and sharing the knowledge.
Yeah,
capitalism is a disease. Because everybody's willing to step on everybody just to get on top or keep their little piece of the pie. Or if they got a big piece of the pie, they greedy and they want more. So the people on top who got the knowledge, who knows these things, are not sharing the information because capitalism, the dollar rules, and the dollar's not even anything. It's just a promise note.
If I'm on top, why would I want to go to the bottom? You know what I mean? It don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? You can't fault them, for capitalism, but you can combat that with your own strategy. You have to spend dollars within your community and do such and such, but we're not organized, bro.
I mean, back in the day, man. I mean, I think about this all the time. All right, so they say money don't grow on trees, but paper comes from trees and stuff. Is it correct? So back in the day, before they had this money system And I think this is all goes back to conditioning stuff. What did they used to do? They used to barter.
Barter.
You have a service, a skill set. You know, I can do this for you. Let me get that. Vice versa and stuff.
Right.
Do y'all ever think that it would get to a point in time where the dollar doesn't mean anything and we had to go back to that? I mean, they said history repeats itself.
That's coming eventually, in my opinion.
Exactly. It's just us realizing that the skills that we have obtained working for these corporations, that we can do that for ourselves. We can provide those services to our friends, to our family, to our community, you know, and if the community is willing to support it, you know, and return the favor with their services, you know, we can work together. To me, it's not about, you know, being on top, staying on top. It's about, you know, everybody being able to live a reasonable life, you know, having the basic needs of food, shelter, you know, and transportation, if not of their own public transportation. You know, there's just no reason for everybody not to have those things. When we live in a world where, you know, 1% owns more wealth than the other 99%. You know, so you can't tell me that there's not enough housing, there's not enough money to go around when we have all these lotteries of millions and billions of dollars that could go to be of service to people. You know, like people are trying to keep the money, but if we have a society that's sustainable where people can have housing and food and be able to feed themselves, you know, instead of having, you know, just cut grass, barren land, you know, everybody being able to raise their own vegetables and fruits, you know, that makes a huge difference in the economy when you're able to feed yourselves. You know, like you don't have as much need for money when you can feed yourself. Now you're just trying to shelter yourself, make sure you have the shelter.
Well, let me ask you this then, man. So we are here in Charlotte, 704 Queen City,
Charlotte,
and it's going back to what you were just talking about. So as you look around, Charlotte is growing like massively. You got buildings coming up everywhere, like every day, everywhere I turn around, something.
Saw you last night. Last year, the median household income from Charlotte was $1,100, and this year it's already bumped up to $1,300.
Cool. So with that stat, you know, being in mind, why do you think it's so many? That means it's money here. Why do you think it's so many homeless people popping up on the corner and stuff, man?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you, the new redlining right now going on by the banks is, you know, not keeping people out of neighborhoods, but it's in the development. So instead of lending money to people to buy homes and pieces of land and property, they're giving it to developers. And those developers then who have that loan have to pay back those interest rates. They're going to build these really nice buildings where the people who already live in those areas can't afford it. So only, you know, people from the outside who come in to work at these, you know, corporations that Charlotte has to offer, you know, the economy has to offer, those people come in, and that's the new gentrification, you know, because then the rates are going to be higher. Already now, it seems like to buy a house in Charlotte is close to $300,000.
And not to mention, you got stuff passing
on the low end
while they throwing this at you on this way to keep your attention over here or over here or up here. And we got 5 things going at once. They also passed the bill, you know what I'm saying, where he cut where companies that you work for had to pay for birth control and such as well, which went under the radar that probably not many people know about, you know what I'm saying, because of the distractions that's going on in the media. I mean, you got him worrying about football players, basketball players and such that are athletes that I don't look to for personal opinions or care to. You know, I look at them for athletes and what you look at them for how they perform that day. I don't look to them for enlightenment or such, but, you know, they're put in such a spotlight. I don't think it's fair, you know, to put them in that spotlight where you force them where they have to talk to the media. You know? Yeah, it's not, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. They have a players association. If you agree to that, that's what you signed up for. You know, so you're obligated to that.
So what do you think, talking about that, what do you think about the whole boycott? As far as me personally, my personal opinions, not appearance, but my opinion is that this whole, take a knee thing, I think it has lost
It's watered down, man.
Yeah, right.
It's watered down. You can't do, you know what I'm saying? That ran its course, you know what I'm saying? Even Kaepernick said if he played this year, he wouldn't take a knee. You know what I mean? That was life. That's done. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. How you protest is how you protest, but them telling a player how to protest, you can't tell someone how to protest. You know what I'm saying? That takes away from the individuality or how I'm getting my point across. You can't tell all of us to take a knee and then we all have to stand up. You know what I'm saying?
I guess my thing is though, how much? What's the percentage of black people that makes up the NFL? About 75,
Like
80,
70%.
70%. Some
NBA is more, but
yeah, it's crazy, right?
yeah.
So when you look at that, man, it's like, well, let me ask you this then. So when we see all things considered, and we see that, you can call it white ball, black ball, or whatever with Colin Kaepernick or whatever. Why do you think that a lot of us, decide that we still just gonna watch football when it's right in our face and it's apparent what's going on?
Last night was the first 2 full quarters of football I watched this season. Any team. It was a lot for me because I've watched football all my life. You know what I'm saying? And it's just not, it's lost its lackluster. Even last season I didn't watch as much. It's just not interesting when you should involve politics with sports, but that's not why I'm watching sports, But how you get your platform, how you get your point across is that. It's been done since forever, with athletes. So they should use their platform, and they are, but you shouldn't take away their individuality and tell them how to protest, you know what I'm saying?
But that kind of goes right back to even if you're making millions of dollars, or hundreds of some thousand, if you're still working for someone,
Right.
still
I
a worker.
tell you what Jerry Jones say, you know what? We all gonna kneel, motherfucker. I tell you when to kneel, and then we all gonna stand up.
I mean,
for this.
money
What?
wag the dog.
I'm like, what, nigga?
It's the money that wag the dog. It's just that simple. People right now in America are objectifying NFL players. They're looking at them as objects. And saying that you are nothing more than entertainment.
But does that come from the leader of the free world?
I don't want to.
Does that come from the leader of the free
hear
world?
your mouth. Oh,
Does that come from the leader of the free
it comes
world?
from him, but it comes from America.
But
it
did he
comes
put
from
more spotlight on it when him saying those comments? Did he put more of a spotlight on what was going on versus we knew what was going on, but a lot of America that doesn't watch football now is in tune with what's going on, and they're like, oh, that's un-American.
Absolutely. I think that is exactly what 45 has brought to the table. That has been light shed on. People have, went outside with the cape on, basically, and we can see what's what. Not only can the black and brown community see, but now also the white community can see these people who are flagrantly ignorant and bigoted, and I refuse to call them racist because they don't have that power, because to be racist means that you have power to oppress, so we need to be more cautious with the word, because these people may be trying to participate in oppressive systems, but they really have no power. Your neighbor next door who want to call you whatever they want to call you, that's bigoted or ignorant, they're not employing you. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing anything that can affect you. So realize they have no power over you.
Words are words, man. You know what I'm saying? You can call me whatever you want. You know what I mean? But how I react to it is upon me. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't. It's a prick of a needle to my skin. I don't feel that. So how you feel about the Cam Newton situation?
I mean, So, I mean, so I think it was just kind of a misstep.
Was it
to
blown
be
out of
honest?
proportion?
I think it's definitely blown out of proportion. I don't think it was the right thing to say, but I don't think maybe Cam Newton is as articulate as he hopes to be, or we think he is. And I don't say that as a slight.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's not a wordsmith.
Did y'all see the thing about the lady though?
But okay, so that with that coming out, along with that, that's apples and oranges. That shit has nothing to do with what he said. What he said has nothing to do with what she said. You know what I'm saying? So why are you even? That's just like if a nigga in a fight and he like, yo, such and such called you a bitch too. I mean, you about to beat me up. Now he in it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, wait a minute, what that got to do with what he said? You know what I mean? That's like, that ain't got nothing to do with that. But I'm like with him, it was blown out of proportion. But we're critiquing Cam, looking at him, criticizing him for what he says when, like you said, 45 can call a player son of a bitch. So not calling the shooter in Nevada. What did he call the shooter in Nevada? Nothing. What did he call the people in Charlottesville? There were some good people on both sides there, okay? But you don't critique him or hold him to a standard for what he says, but we're holding Cam Newton to a standard for what he said? Cam Newton? He's a football player. Who the fuck cares? In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I'm not looking to him for inspirational quotes. Fuck out of here. We holding him to a standard for what he says. I don't care, man. And what he's, I'm not, amongst ourselves, we all know what he said was true. I mean, my wife has never told me about a football route. I've never sit with any female and heard about a female route being run. I mean, a route being ran, or how he's running his route.
So what I said to that is, like I said, that the football players were being objectified. He was objectifying women. You call a woman a female, that's not even identifying her as human. So we can't sidestep that part of the conversation. Because too many times we as men are very loose with our words when we're talking about women. We talk about them as their objects, or they're just things. We don't even refer to them as people, or think of them as humans that have feelings. When we talk to our friends, talk to our homeboys, when you're young, even when you're old, talking about kind of sexual conquest and stuff, like, we're objectifying women. I tell you, I would like to paint a picture that most people would not want to see, but as a man, if somebody, I'm 6'6", so if I was to roll up on somebody that's 6 foot or under and say, hey man, nice ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's smaller than me, he can't beat me up, I'm more physically dominant than him, that would make him very, very uncomfortable. But we freely talk to women this way. You know what I'm saying? And we don't ever think about the other side of it, and the defenses that women have to have up all the time, because we refer to them as something as just a female, So
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
When we're not referred to as male or anything like that.
To help Cam out a little bit.
I got a minute. I got a minute left.
I agree with him. So, but what Wick Cam said, like as I stated, he's held to a standard that we don't hold our president to. You know what I'm saying? For the same stuff, even worse stuff that he said. And yet we're holding the NFL quarterback. Not to take away that, it's degrading women and such, but were there any men in the Lynx locker room when they won the championship during the interviews? I mean, does it go both ways? Are there any standards in there? Do they care to go in and interview them? There are many women in the men's locker rooms, I'm just saying. But